Thank you, Joshua. What I'm going to talk about, just literally for 10 minutes, is about the concept of sharing data nationally, regionally, and at a local base. I'm not going to talk about how we're going to do it, because Dawn from RAC's North East, Retailers Against Crime in the North East, is actually going to go through that for you and talk about it. So what I'm going to talk about is, one, why we're doing it, what it's about, some of the pitfalls, but also I want to just sort of clarify some of the things about the localism in regards to technology that we're using now, and why are we still using it? Should we not be moving on to using, as Jason was talking about, using new technologies that are out there now, and we're not using them in retail? So, okay, so why are we doing this? All right, it's very obvious. We've had speeches there this morning from Joshua, from Jason, in regards to looking at the issues around policing, what they're doing in the high street or what they're not doing in the high street, what support we're getting, what support we're not getting, how the inference is that retailers are going to have to look after themselves more and more, and to do that we're going to have to start sharing intelligence between ourselves. So all of this is pushing us to do this. Now, we can fight it, and I think over the last 17, 20 odd years, retailers have always said, well, it's the police that should be doing it. And I suppose I was there as well. But actually, that's not the case anymore. We are being forced to do it, so therefore we should actually embrace it and actually get on with it and start doing this. And I think that's a big sea change for us. The onus is going to be on us, I think, to protect ourselves more and more. If you look at the issues in regards to the policing, in regards to the PCSOs, we see that different forces are now enforcing PCSOs to have the same form of authority as a police officer. But we also know that we're getting less and less in the high street. Will we have the American model? Will we have civilian police forces in the high streets in the future? And will they be private, potentially? I think so. So we've got to look at all of those intelligence things that are going down the line, and it's going to have to be us that are pushing that forward. It's not going to be the police, it's going to be the retailers themselves who are going to have to do this. Okay, so just talking about this very quickly then. Are there restrictions to the participation? No, any retailer can join it. We have a number. Again, Dawn will go through those, and go through the numbers and explain what it is. We're trying to get as many as possible to do this. And it is about looking at level 1, level 2 crimes, and it is about local and at regional and at national level. And it's about using technology to do that. Are there challenges? There's always challenges. Joshua mentioned earlier on about the civil recovery. That was a huge challenge to try and introduce civil recovery into the UK. But we managed to achieve it, and now it's cascaded out, and there are lots and lots of retailers who are now doing it. Yeah, it's had issues. And I'm smiling at Catherine there because there's been a few issues with civil recovery. But it is actually out there now, and we are doing it. So we can do these things. And I think the issues around sharing data and data around all the retailers is something that we should be doing it and sharing it right across the different things. What does utopia look like? It's about having the ability to disseminate information that is meaningful to retailers to reducing crime. And that's where we want to be. It's about stopping it from happening in the first place. It's not about dealing with it and then following. It's about having that technology and that information to actually have that and deal with the situation before it happens. So that's what utopia looks like. And then obviously we've got the National Business Crime Forum, which we've got, I don't think Mr. Broadbent's speaking today, but ACC Broadbent, but there is a body of government which are looking at national business crime right across the piece. I know in Nottingham they are doing a trial in Nottingham with Richard Stones from the Nottingham Constabulary. So all of these things are happening. So we know it can happen. All we want to do is try and push it on. All right, I'll put this up. It's a right mess, and it's meant to be a right mess. And what it is, it just shows you, if you like, all the different things that we are having to contend with in retail now, with all the bits of information from, Wilkinson's, we got 337 different partnerships in regards to around the UK now. So there's lots and lots of information there, from the number of police forces, from BCIB, Retailers Against Crime, Business Against Crime. There's 235 in England and Wales. So you can see there's so many different bodies and forums and all of this. So we need to get some joined up thinking about how to put these together and get that information. So it's a right mess. It's meant to be a right mess because it just shows you what it's like out there at the moment. And it's about trying to break that down and make it very, very simple. Okay. This is one of my pet hates. We're using dinosaur technology in regards to communication between retailers at a local level. We use two-way radios. Even the police have moved on and are using new technology. They're using 3G technology. We're not. Why aren't we using it? It's out there, it's cheap. We should be getting all of these people to start looking at this new technology. You can send video, you can send pictures, you can send text, you can send intelligence down phones now. So why aren't we doing it? As retailers, we should be forcing the different bodies out there and the companies to start using that technology and move into this sector so that at a local level, it'll make it easier then to have the intelligence to move up to the regional and then up to the national level. Okay, that's all I want to say. I'm going to pass on to Dawn, who's actually going to talk about how this actually works. Thanks very much.
When I was first asked to do a double act with Mick Phipps, I must admit I nearly died. To sort of ease my nerves, I was chatting to a few people that were probably in the room tonight about what I could actually call the double act, and there was things like Cleopatra and I don't know the guy's name, Hinge and Bracket, but the one that I really, really liked was Dick Dastardly and somebody remind me? Muttley. No, it was Penelope. That makes me feel really good. Thank you very much for that, Alan. Anyway, I'm absolutely delighted that I've been asked to project manage the National Data Share project. It's something that I've been very, very passionate about with the work that I've been doing up in the North East for the North East Retail Crime Partnership. But I'm not here to talk about the North East, I'm here to talk about National Data Share. And yes, I do see it as a big challenge, but one that I do believe we will succeed in. So just to give you a bit of an introduction as to where we've come from with this. In November 2011, the National Business Crime Forum was launched in the Houses of Parliament in Westminster, and there was a consensus across political parties that business crime is indeed very important. Driven by the ACPO lead, Paul Broadbent and Richard Stones, who's already been mentioned, a new approach was born. Retailers estimated around 80–90% are the largest participants and paying contributors to the current landscape of shopwatch schemes and crime partnerships out there. There is reported, and as it was shown there on Mick's slide, that there are over 230 crime partnerships and as many as an average of 10 radio schemes for each of those partnerships in those regions. With an excess of 2,500 localised schemes acting in isolation, with very little, if any, collaboration, not joined up, a variety of systems and solutions that are being used to share information and intelligence. And the value that's derived from the schemes can only be described as the good, the bad and the ugly. And I think I should maybe duck here just in case I get things thrown at me. There are some very, very excellent schemes out there though, and I must say that. Schemes that do work locally and regionally and do collaborate together, but there's not enough of them, and that's what we need to improve, and that's what the National Data Share can do. What is clear is that retailers have become increasingly frustrated by the burden, cost and no clear measure of return delivered back from these partnerships and are very eager to actually change. The National Business Crime Model is an initiative for retailers, shaped by retailers. And that is just the beginning, really. In November of last year, there was a meeting held, I think it was November, October, was held in London, to present the National Managed Model. This is a model that will provide a top-down, bottom-up approach through the virtualisation of local and regional schemes that we have throughout the country. This model, this national model, is fundamentally output-led, driving results through intelligence. However, the deliverable is simple. The model only works if we have participants. So as you've probably seen on our slides, very key to this is to share, is to participate, and to participate is to drive change. In December, there was a meeting with 30 retailers, with a further 30 showing really keen interest in the concept. The meeting confirmed the need for change, and an executive steering group was established with Mick Phipps as the chair and Tim Edwards as the vice chair. In January, 15 retailers attended the first steering group meeting, which was held in Birmingham, and 10 retailers on the day actually signed up for the proof of concept. We currently have 20 retailers signed up to the pilot, and as the figures show there, this represents more than 500,000 employees, 7,000 stores and 26.5 billion in sales. And just very quickly, there are some of the participants. So what is the national data share model, which it's not actually showing on there? But what you have, or what you should see on there, for some reason it's not showing, is national level at the top, regional in the middle, and local at the bottom. The proof of concept for the national data share model is to provide a centralised managed service through a national data hub, enabling the analysis of level 1 and level 2 business crime on a national level. In addition, the national data hub will work in conjunction with the Business Crime Intelligence Bureau, and Mandy Oliver is here today and would be very, very keen to speak to anybody who wants to know about the process through the BCIB, who have had some excellent successes since they actually started. This will provide an integrated solution combining both regional and local activity with a national approach to level 2 and level 3 offenders. The solution has 3 key perspectives. Information and intelligence tool. This is a managed service delivery. The service currently being provided by local town centre partnerships and various shop watch schemes that are out there. The other element is the forensic tools, the real sexy stuff that really does get people quite excited. The National Hub and the BCIB will have access to this for level 2 and level 3 criminal activity. Head officers will also be given a login to provide the ability to view and analyse your own retail data and for the whole of your business, providing mapping, constellations, searching of incidents, links to eBay, resource to risk, which Jason has alluded to in his presentation, and that resource to risk can be looked at across sector and industry, all of which is far more powerful than crime surveys alone. Business intelligence tool is the third perspective of this solution. National retailers and head offices by store, region. Retailers can see all incidents submitted, the quality of that information and the quality of the intelligence, incidents that have been shared through the National Hub, offenders that have been identified, and really key, and I think something that you would all like to see, is value and risk to resource to enable intelligent business decisions and rationalisation of costs. So how do we get this data in? Because that is probably the biggest challenge, although it's not really proven to be as big a challenge as we thought it would be. This just gives an example of how retailers can feed in their data. If you've got data, we can put it in the system, be it through your own internal systems, be it through sending forms, calls, faxes. We can interface the systems with the national solution through the internet. Basically, any way you can get data to us, get it to us, and we can get it in the system, and you can really start to analyse that data. So the 2 parts of the national solution is managed information and managed intelligence, and I'm going to run through the managed information. And this is taken from the model that we've been using up in the North East for the last 15 years. The level 1 service of the managed information sharing is the regional and local information. What we want to do here is prove the concept of a regional hub using the successful NERCP model to demonstrate the success that can be achieved by supporting local watch schemes and local neighbourhood policing. This will ultimately result in increased prevention and detection of crime in our areas, locally and regionally. Key here is to prove the concept of virtual crime partnerships within our region, providing a cohesive, consistent service to all our national retailers and businesses throughout the region. The solution will show how we will allow the sharing of information electronically, which can be an automated process and shared in real time. So not going off to shop watch meetings and finding out who's been offending in your stores a month later, but actually finding out who was in your store on the day, who could be visiting your store. and that's through the real-time sharing. This allows, again, for better prevention and deterrent. Shopwatch and crime partnerships issue target files and newsletters of knowns, unknown offenders. I'm sure you're all very familiar with these, at a very local level. But again, this tends to be historic information and very much police-led information as well. The National Data Hub allows for the arbitrators to share geographically, depending on the incidents that occurred and the offenders that have been involved. This is all built into the infrastructure of the system. So regionally and locally, we can create target files which are automatically generated through the system and then can be shared out. And again, in real time, improving the concept of virtualising Shopwatch. Regional collaboration is key, and we keep saying about collaboration and having a cohesive approach, but it really is key to what we're doing here on a national level. There has been a very impressive response in the North East to formalising a coordinated approach to Shopwatch. Having a coordinated approach enables the local areas to provide a consistent service for retailers, shopping centres, town centre management, and also neighbourhood policing teams at a very local level. This also provides effective collaboration across the region as a whole. We have always acted up in the North East as that conduit at that regional level, and we're seen to be one of the lead regions in tackling retail crime in a very cohesive partnership approach. We have the desire and the ability to now obtain recognition for that region and assist in others achieving the same. The National Business Crime Solution, and our aim within that, is to support these regional hubs, and information feeding in nationally will then feed in regionally, which can then support the local areas. It doesn't just have to stop there, though, with retailers. This model can be expanded throughout the whole of the business sectors within regions. So we can be looking at commercial crime, industrial crime, maybe setting up virtual business watch schemes and industrial watch schemes. All of this information needs to go into the system so that we can really get a true picture of the crime that's actually happening in our regions and nationally. That's having a huge impact on all of us. Another key element to this, which you can see obviously on there, is the police link that we have. And we have a very, very good relationship with our forces in the North East. In 2009, the NERCP set up a police steering group. And this wasn't because we wanted the police to steer what we were doing in the NERCP, but more we wanted them to link in with us to be able to tap into the information we had and provide them a valuable resource in tackling retail and business crime. We link in not only with the Force Intelligence Bureaus, but again, this approach is very much top-down, bottom-up. We support all of the neighbourhood policing teams throughout our areas, and believe it or not, we've managed to actually get not only the MPTs to talk to each other, but 4 police forces in the North East, being Northumbria, Durham, Cleveland and North Yorkshire, actually do talk to each other through us, which, how difficult is it to get forces to talk to each other, or MPTs, or police officers even? The partnership has in no way been a one-way approach. It's been developing mutual benefits for both the partnership, our businesses, our retailers, and the police, which is paramount to the success and the continuation and long-term sustainability of regional partnerships and regional hubs through the national hub. This will enable us to achieve the joint objectives that we have, which is to reduce crime and fear of crime, locally, regionally and nationally. Our development plans for the North East are to create a centre for excellence for all business crime, for all businesses to engage with us and feed information intelligence into the hub, which will again support the bigger national hub. So what do our police get in our region? Shopwatchers, as we know, currently rely on local policing. That do tend to lead a lot of the schemes and lead the information that goes into the schemes. The national model supports very much the local policing and actually provides a valuable resource to them and valuable information. By giving them access to our system, the hub can provide witness statements, CCTV images, incident reporting and offender profiles and detailed reports giving a fuller picture of offender criminal activity. So not just who's been arrested, because we know who's been arrested, because you guys have called them out and you've gotten them arrested, but actually who's active in the area, who's being deterred in stores and then coming and actually impacting on your store. Police will have access to the system at neighbourhood level and hopefully force intelligence level as well. We know that policing at local level is acting in isolation, which is a frustration for us all, and I'm sure you will all agree. A nod of heads would be great if you did. The national solution gives us the opportunity to join up local, regional and national policing, linking ACPO regions and regional intelligence through the national hub and the Business Crime Intelligence Bureau. Furthermore, policing commissioners, which has been mentioned, are to be elected very soon, which in effect is the beginning of private policing. The model, the national model, will ensure that businesses have a very strong presence and firm lead on our high streets, providing our priorities collectively, resulting in business actually leading and having a system that is business and retail-led information and intelligence. So the police access that they'll have, they can add incidents and intelligence, they can receive information, and all of this is audited and complies with the management of police information. The solution also allows the hub and retailers to create alerts based on rules which become retailer business specific, such as by product, value, relevant to business and industry sector. The next level of the National Business Crime Solution is the managed intelligence sharing, and this is what's going to be provided through the successful BCIB. Managed intelligence sharing at level 2 and level 3, cross-regional and national intelligence. This is what we're not doing, and if we are doing it, we're not doing as good as we could, and that's because we need the information. The BCIB are going to be managing this and demonstrating the success that is achieved by providing police forces, regional intelligence units with evidenced intelligence packages so that they can better target level 2 and level 3 criminals. This will ultimately result in the disruption and appropriate law enforcement sanctions being achieved. And for example, as Mr. Banfield alluded to before, we want to get more charges for conspiracy rather than just shoplifting or shop theft. Shop watch schemes operate very much on level 1, although some do look at travelling offenders within their area. The National Hub doesn't distinguish between the types of data that comes in. Rather, we can differentiate between level 1, local offenders, level 2, regional or travelling offenders, and level 3, national offenders. The forensic tools allows us to do mapping, places of interest. We can see what goods were stolen, types of offences, travelling offenders, what their activity is, MOs that were used, which we know MOs by criminals out there evolves as we try to evolve. We need to get smarter than the criminals rather than them getting smarter than us and our solutions. Now for the sexy stuff, and no, I'm not going to dance. Jason could. The forensic tools. There's a number of tools within the forensic capabilities of the system. And some of these include the constellations and timelines associated with crimes, allowing businesses to better predict criminal activity from the information that's provided. And these are all available through dashboards, reports, drill downs, as I've said, constellations and mapping. And just to show you a couple of them, we've got one here which is Constellation of Relationships of Identified Targets. It shows the offenders that are related through either working together on an incident, they're in the same gang, they're using the same vehicles, and they could be related through marriage, through association, because they've worked together before. All of this allows us to target smarter and harder and shut down these criminal operations in teams. Another sexy forensic tool is the mapped incidents. This allows you to plot searched incidents on a map and eliminate incidents from that set by reducing the time frame slider along the bottom there. This tool can help to track and predict where offenders could target next, so that actually we're getting ahead of them. It shows the extent as well of the travelling activity of some of the offenders and the teams out there. Another part of the forensic tools accessible for retailers or businesses at your head office level is the business intelligence tool. This is a really key tool within the solution because this allows retailers through their dashboard to be given statistical outputs that will be configured by the user as you desire. The data will allow for benchmarking, which is retailer, sector or industry specific. This can be an important part of your security strategy in risk modelling and deployment of field and store resources based on risk. In addition, the information will create greater power for lobbying organisations such as forums and other trade associations, again in a collective, cohesive approach, giving business a much bigger voice. And finally, we have a face match tool within the national solution. The face match functionality is a future development which is built into the roadmap of the system. This sits within the forensic tool for the national hub to be able to access and demonstrates, shown you here on this slide, how local schemes no longer will act in isolation or dependent on particular specific individuals to identify and manually identify offenders. Often intelligence at local level and local schemes is very much local knowledge and is not very well shared. Worryingly, should that person leave the crime partnership, that intelligence and that knowledge is lost. Face Match provides functionality to match CCTV imagery. So, for example, Dick Dastardly committed an offence in Leicester. He was then entered onto the system. He then went on and committed an offence in Peterborough, but they didn't know who he was. Images were then provided. The face match functionality would then result in him being matched and an identification being made, which would then allow the hub to drill into the system, find all the previous information that we held on him, for us to then provide statements to identify the offender and result, hopefully, in a successful conviction. So the steps that we're now taking, we have actually started the proof of concept of the national data share. And this is just to show you the timeline and the phased action plan, actually, that was put out last week to our retail participants. And we would like to encourage more participants. So please do come and see me and have a chat, or speak to Jason or Corinda or any of the team. As all projects, there can be, the timelines and the timescales can slip a little. We're not talking about months here though, guys. We're maybe talking about weeks. We've got 13 weeks for this proof of concept from April to June. But like all big projects, as I've said, it is more than likely going to maybe stretch to maybe 16, 17 weeks. But this just gives you an example of what we're doing. And what we're doing now, what's already started and we're in week 2, is about data in. Without data in, we might as well forget it. So it's data in, and we're getting some excellent data in from the national retailers that have signed up, and that is actually being put into the system as we speak. After the data is in there, from the various systems or wherever it may be, we can then look at what outputs we can get out of the system using the forensic tools and using the managed information and intelligence functionality within the system. We'll then start to provide alerts and galleries and analysis and reports, but also we'll be given access to national retailers who are part of the proof of concept to access the forensic tools, as I've shown you there. It then goes on to the challenges, and we have already very early on, which is a very good sign, identified some challenges, but it's enabled us to predict some more. And I think this early on in the stage of the project, that only has to be good, because it means early on we can actually overcome some of those challenges. And we're not just doing this on our own. This isn't Dawn Robinson, Project Manager, National Data Share, actually doing all of this, and the Cardinal Group. This is the national retailers leading this and actually shaping the future of National Data Share and how the National Business Crime Solution will actually work and work for you. This is where we want to be. Week 22, or the 3rd of September, we want to go live with this solution. We want as many retailers to be taking part. We want all national retailers to be taking part, but then that's just the start of it, because we want to encourage other business to work with us and work with their regional hubs to actually provide information and intelligence so that we can have a bigger picture and a more accurate picture of business crime. National Data Share, I think it's a reality. And as it says there, to share is to participate. So please participate and we will drive change. Judging by the response that we've had from national retailers and the willingness to engage, yes, I think it is safe to assume and safe to say that indeed it is reality. The National Business Crime Solution has the ability and the capacity to become a business community intelligence system, providing business-led intelligence in order to support and for us to lead on policing priorities locally, regionally and nationally. Please visit the National Data Solution stand, which is just out beside the registration area. Ian Perry and Andrew Wood are sat there waiting, poised, to show you the system, to demonstrate to you some of the functionality within that system, and really show you how powerful it really is and can be. And also, feel free to come and chat to myself and to Mandy Oliver as well. And really what I want to do is leave this conference with at least another 10 national retailers who are going to sign up to this proof of concept. So come on guys, don't be shy. Let's drive change. Thank you.